Right now, Bitcoin is doing something many people would consider very large. In fact, potentially even extremely large. And what if I told you that what is about to happen to crypto will make every bull run from the past look tiny? So tiny, in fact, that you can't even see it unless you use a microscope. And even then, you probably couldn't even see it. Right now, the price of Bitcoin is, in fact, doing something a lot bigger than I think people realize that it's doing, where you might be looking at this chart thinking, oh, wow, not much is happening. But in fact, there's actually a lot happening, and I'm going to be showing you that. And more importantly, let's just be honest. I don't think people realize how big this bull run, this bust is about to be. So if you're bullish on Bitcoin, but deep down you understand that you simply could never be bullish enough, hit that like, hit that subscribe, get signed up to FEMX or BINGX below if you want to buy Bitcoin or altcoins. Without any further ado, let's absolutely jump in to the content. Today, this is huge. Most people might be looking at this chart right here and thinking to themselves, wow, another boring day in crypto. Wrong. That's actually absolutely wrong. Bitcoin is in fact doing something not big, not very big, extra big, extremely big. And I want to actually talk about this, and I want to talk about what it means for Bitcoin over the next few months. Guys, I'm just going to be honest. I don't give a Bitcoin does tonight or tomorrow or next week. What we have going on, both technically in these charts, historically, looking at all on-chain metrics as well, and also fundamentally, for the first time ever, with institutions gobbling, and gobbling some more. This truly is the perfect recipe, dare I say the perfect storm, for an explosion so big it will go down in the history books as the biggest explosion in the history of mankind. And before we actually look at these charts, let's take a look at a few things. So I'm sure many people have seen this Bitcoin ETF update, over 400 million inflows yesterday. In just one day yesterday, the Bitcoin ETFs recovered basically half of the outflows that they had lost from the previous 5 days. And it's just the beginning, all right? We can see any negative or any outflows that we've been witnessing, we can see all of them be reversed like that. And I think that's a very important thing to remember during this bull market. Now, I'm sure most of you have also heard about this. Larry Fink was on Fox News today. He said a few things. He said he's bullish on Bitcoin. But the most important thing he said, aside from being bullish on Bitcoin, is that he acknowledged that this is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs. BlackRock's CEO, Larry Fink, the CEO of the largest asset management company on planet Girth, gets on TV today and says that he's bullish on Bitcoin. Reiterates again how basically excited he is for this and how much, I'm sure he's making tons on fees, or he will be, and just acknowledging this is the fastest growing ETF in the history of ETFs. Do you think that people are paying attention? If people in finance are not paying attention, they're absolute dingleberries, absolute dingbats, absolute little baby-brained ding-dongs, right? And they're going to be gigabanging themselves for missing out on the best opportunity, potentially in the history of mankind, especially over the last decade. I think this is going to be massive. So this is huge. It's honestly gigantic. And it really doesn't matter what Bitcoin does today, tomorrow, next week. I think most people understand where this thing is going, right? Where Bitcoin is going. And if it's actually true that these ETFs are going to be gobbling for months and years in advance, how bad can a bear market really get? We have yet to see, but is there a slight chance that maybe these bear markets aren't really much of bear markets? And Bitcoin continues to be gobbled and gobbled and gobbled again. It's possible. That's all I want to say. We also see this, that so far this cycle has been very muted in terms of drawdowns compared to previous bull markets, something I don't necessarily expect to continue, Joe says here. Basically, he's saying we should be seeing bigger drawdowns soon. But, is it possible that as Bitcoin becomes larger and larger, now being cemented as a $1 trillion asset class on its own, Bitcoin, is it possible that maybe the drops get a little less and less? Just like the returns have also gotten a little less and less. It's absolutely possible. We don't know for sure yet, but that's a really distinct possibility, especially when you factor in constant inflows month by month by month from these ETFs. We also see that Hong Kong-based fund managers VSFG and Value Partners have applied to launch a Bitcoin spot ETF. Bitcoin ETF fever is ramping up. We already saw, we're going to see people start copying Michael Saylor's playbook, and we're going to start seeing other countries, other funds, other companies want to get involved in Bitcoin, want to custody and hold Bitcoin for clients as well. This is inevitable, and it's happening. It's quite literally happening. We also see the Bitcoin ETF flows have started trickling back in after selling the bottom, basically. Good news is that self-custody investors were buying the dip big time. Hey, every dip we get, if I have cash on hand, if I have a little bit of USDT, USDC, if I have a little bit of funds to invest, I've been investing. I've been investing balls to the wall, shop till I drop, 2 in the pink, 1 in the fink for the past 2 years. Really, if we go back longer than that, but specifically, I have been gobbling like potentially people have never gobbled, right? I've been gobbling big time. And I think that a lot of people in this space, most people that watch my channel, I'm pretty sure many of you have been gobbling and gobbling like your life depends on it, which it truly does. That's the craziest part. Our financial life absolutely depends on how much Bitcoin we can gobble before it becomes simply too expensive. Okay, it's the tail of the tape. This cycle is different, according to Ki-Young Ju. Institutional funds of $86 billion entered the Bitcoin market in the past 6 months. This is extremely big. And, what's bigger than that? Well, not many things, but we're going to be talking about some things that are quite literally big. The price of Bitcoin right now, you might be looking at it saying, wow, it looks kind of boring. It looked kind of sideways. Well, I actually have some news for you. Right now, Bitcoin is trying to flip basically that previous all-time high as support. It's trying to flip the 21-day moving average as support as well, since first falling below it back on March 19th. What Bitcoin is trying to do right now is something extremely bullish, actually, right? It's trying to hold support here. It is trying to hold support on the 21-day moving average. We're very close to getting a bullish cross on the daily chart MACD as well, on the daily chart RSI as well. Bitcoin is trying to flip in the immediate short term, actually, to try for continuation to the upside. And what I said at the beginning of the video is that I don't know, or quite honestly, I don't really care if Bitcoin explodes today or tomorrow. Long term, even medium term, I am very, very confident that Bitcoin has a lot more upside to capture. A lot. Not a little bit. Quite a lot. We look even on the weekly chart for Bitcoin. Clearly, this is a pretty big level. Bitcoin is trying desperately to try and flip this, hold it as support. It's literally the last move that needs to happen before Bitcoin can start going parabolic. I've pointed it out so many times in the last 2 or 3 videos, comparing where Bitcoin is now to all the other times that had broken previous highs as it entered previous bull markets. Bitcoin did start exploding basically right after this final step that we're seeing on the chart right now. This final step, Bitcoin started exploding shortly after. So it's big, right? We're just trying to flip. We're trying to hold this as support. There's a lot of short positions still at $75,000 per Bitcoin. Most likely going to get absolutely banged, creamed, just filled to the brim with the baby bulls long positions as we bust to new all-time highs. I think that $85,000, $90,000, $100,000 per Bitcoin is going to come very quick once we actually cement this current level as support. Once we cement this previous all-time high of 69,000, nice, as support, Bitcoin's probably going to move very fast to the upside, like it's always done, as I've been showing for the last few videos, after it breaks the all-time highs and gets a rejection initially and then actually truly breaks after it holds support. We see Ethereum as well trying to hold support on historical, very significant resistance right around 3,500. Massive. It was literally the exact price it was before it started a gigantic breakdown back in April of 2022, right? This is where ETH ran into most of its resistance. If I would have to pick a level that's the biggest resistance of this block right here, between 40 or 5,000 and 1,800, this level is like, you know, this is massive. This is basically where like the head and shoulders pattern formed on ETH, right? This is like the neckline of that. So ETH is giving us signs, right? If it holds here, just like Bitcoin has to hold at its own massive level right here, altcoins are going to go wild if Bitcoin, Ethereum are able to hold these levels here. You know, is Bitcoin still in the middle of this breakout, which will send us to all-time highs around 73K? Very extremely possible. We saw the stock market today close very bullish. I believe it closed up about 1% or so. The SPX, we saw the NASDAQ, also the Dow Jones up a lot. Dow Jones over 1.2%. And also the DXY kind of just trading sideways. So ultimately, man, Bitcoin, this is the thing, guys. Like, and nobody does, I really don't know if we're going to be breaking out in 5 minutes from now or tonight or tomorrow. And as I keep saying, I don't care. Because if you just zoom out, I truly believe if you just fast forward like 2-3 weeks, I think that the price action that's going to end up have played out on this chart is going to be extremely bullish. And I think we are going to be shattering past these price targets and heading up to $100,000 before May, in my opinion. I personally think that that's very likely. We have the halving in just about 3 weeks. And I don't know, it's just crazy to me. You guys realize we have literally the largest asset manager on planet Girth, Larry Fink, literally on Fox News today, literally on TV, okay? This guy saying that he's bullish on Bitcoin, acknowledging it's the most successful ETF in the history of ETFs. It's gigantic. I can't imagine trying to be bearish right here. It's simply unfathomable. Rate cuts, election year, halving, stock market's been hitting new all-time highs, Bitcoin just hit new all-time highs. If I would go back a year and say, I want to try to create the perfect storm scenario for Bitcoin. I want to try to create the best case scenario situation for Bitcoin as we go into the halving. And you fast forward me a year to where we are right now, I would say, wow, my dreams came true. This is everything that I had wished for a perfect case, perfect storm scenario for Bitcoin, initiating a giga explosion to the upside. You're not bullish enough. And get signed up to FEMX or BINGX below if you're my Bitcoin or altcoins. And without further ado,